Welcome back to Dr. Chao's YouTube channel. This is Dr. Chao from Board of Education of Howard County. In this channel, I'm going to interview high school graduates from Howard County Public School System. I want them to share their experience, their challenges, their achievements, and their advice for our incoming high school students. This YouTube channel will focus on students' experience and the student voice. I hope this interview will help you, both our parents and our incoming high school students, to navigate the high school life. Today, we're going to interview Ethan Fan, who graduated from Atholton High School in 2020. He will join Georgetown University and major in biology of global health. Welcome, Ethan. Thanks for taking time to speak with me. Can you have a self-introduction?
Yep, thank you for having me. So like Dr. said, my name is Ethan Fan, and I recently graduated Atholton High School in the senior class of 2020. I will be attending Georgetown in the fall as a biology of global health. So this year, the school is completely virtual online, so I will be staying home rather than being on campus. And some of my main extracurriculars I was involved in high school was I swam for the Columbia Clippers. I did a lot of public speaking for Toastmasters. I created a robotics team with my friend, and I volunteered at the National Choir. But I can talk about those a bit later.
Thank you, Ethan. Thanks for taking the time. And my first question for you, what was your biggest challenge in your senior year? How do you overcome that?
So the biggest challenge in my senior year, I think, came when I had to start applying for college. I think as most people will have, the biggest challenge in their senior year will be college applications. Growing up, especially in HCPSS, I know that the college application process is a very competitive thing, and it's something that we build 4 years of high school academic success to. And I think when the time came, I was too focused on trying to make everything perfect, because I really try to show colleges all 4 years of my work. And it's really hard to show all 4 years of your work in just one paper. So I was often too reluctant to try new ideas. I was too scared to mess around a little bit and just get started to write. So I would set hard deadlines for myself sometimes to finish the essay, and I would think about it and overthink about it the entire day, and I wouldn't have a word written down because I was always too scared. So I think my biggest thing to fix that is I learned this quote: "Don't let perfection become procrastination," and it was written by Danielle Laporte. Basically, once I got prompts and I got essays, this works for school as well, I would just write down any ideas I had, and I would just build off from there. Whether it was a good idea, whether it was a bad idea, it really helped me get over the writer's block in my head.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. So we don't want the perfect to be the obstacle for you to complete something, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, it kind of throwing you to really move forward because you want to have the perfect result. And sometimes you never know what is perfect.
Exactly. And everything doesn't always turn out to be perfect. That's right.
And my second question for you, what was your biggest challenge in your whole high school year? How do you overcome that?
So I know I've watched a few of the past interviews, and a lot of students said balance, and that is usually my go-to answer. But to make it a little more interesting, I think that one of the biggest thing in high school is constantly pushing yourself, because I know high school is a really challenging time. You have to balance your extracurriculars, then you have to balance your grades and finding new friends and making a memorable experience. But through it all, it's very easy once you have the good grades, right? Once you are in enough extracurriculars and once you found the right proper community, to keep looking out there, right? To keep pushing yourself, to aim farther, to plan your next goal, right? Once you manage to become leader of the club, how will you take the club to the next level? You can't sit there, especially during high school years when you're really young, and feel like you found success. I think if you keep pushing yourself and you're not satisfied, you can get a lot more through your high school experience.
So you try to challenge yourself and then try to innovate, find something new, and move really beyond what you have right now.
Yep. Well, it can be anything small, it could be anything big. As long as you have a mindset to keep going forward, I think you will be less likely to procrastinate. You'll be less likely to feel complacent and feel like you don't need to do anything anymore.
So it's important to try something new, kind of break from the status quo, right? Sometimes.
Exactly. Yep.
I see. Thanks for sharing that. Can you share one unique academic experience? For example, maybe one class, one project, or one seminar?
Yeah, so one of the favorite projects, and Georgetown actually asked me this, I told them was the first formal research paper I had to write for my 11th grade English class. And though that sounds boring, the research paper was based on an accredited book. Basically, our teacher let us pick. And I think this was the first big project that basically gave all the initiative to me. So I got to pick, or gave initiative to the students, right? The students got to pick which book they wanted to read. And then from that, the project basically became their own. I think that was the first project that let me see it was really less about the grade and more about what you learned, because you invested your interest to pick that book and you felt like the need to finish it and to basically advocate on behalf of the rest of your class why they should read your book and why it taught you a lot of things. So I picked the book The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls as an autobiography, and to this day I think it's still one of my favorite books, and it was my favorite project in that class.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. It is kind of independent research, right? You own
Yep.
everything, and
Yep.
then your work really flexes the hard work you put there.
Exactly.
Do you have any experience with cyberbullying or bullying, or maybe your friend experienced that? Can you share something on that?
Okay, so I luckily have not luckily have never needed to deal with cyberbullying or bullying in real life, but I have had a few friends who have been bullied. Some of them who have had suicidal thoughts, and I think, I mean, the easy answer is just to say, words speak, right? Words speak way louder than some people think, but it's really difficult, especially during our generation. We're taught as a younger age to not bully, to not cyberbully, right? There's negative impacts, and there's some really moving books, some really moving movies that will teach you some perspective. But I think they really under exaggerate the impacts of real bullying in real life. It's not always going to be that easy for someone to unhear what you have said or someone to unsee what they saw online. So I guess the best way to do it is, even though we're taught at a young age to not bully and not cyberbully, rather than just simply take the lesson more seriously, I would just be extra careful about everything you say, everything you see online, and to make sure, it's truly necessary.
So I want to remind our audience, if you or your friend experience cyberbullying, please try to find help. And
Yeah.
HCPSS has a robust channel and a framework to deal with cyberbullying and bullying. So we definitely want to help each student who experience that, because bullying and cyberbullying has a very serious consequence. We want to make sure our students have a safe learning environment in our school. And the next question for you, can you share some extracurricular activity?
So these are the four I named at the beginning are the main ones. I certainly had a few extras, but I can start with. So I started swimming for Clippers, I think 10 years ago. I ended up in Elite One, which is their top practice group. So I didn't always go to all their practices, but I'm proud to say that, swimming has taught me a lot of lessons, and I'm really glad I joined their team. And then the second part I was involved in was Toastmasters, which is a public speaking club. I created one for Atholton. I worked with Megan, who you interviewed before, on creating one on leading the one for Howard County, and she eventually helped create one in Howard with Richard. So basically, that entire Toastmasters goal was to help other students basically have a voice in their life, to teach them how to public speak, whether that be for presentations in class or interviews like this one. I joined robotics after I got an invite from one of my friends in Centennial, and I did robotics for 2 years. And I think that was also a great experience. Taught me a lot about leadership, how to work in the real world. Like, we didn't have anybody to help us find sponsors or create our own team uniforms and file 501c3s for nonprofits. And then the last big one I'm pretty proud of is the National Aquarium, because I sought out the thing myself, and none of my friends recommended it. I got a teacher recommendation to do it, and I just took a leap of faith, and it's one of my favorite extracurriculars on the list.
Thanks for sharing that. So swimming, Toastmaster or
Yep.
public speech,
Mm-hmm.
and then robotics and
Yep. And then volunteering at the National Aquarium. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fun. Seems a lot of stuff to do as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And I know I joined the Toastmaster Club when I first arrived to the United States, which is located at Bellsfield, called the United States Agriculture Center. So it's very close to College Park, because I attended the University of Maryland College Park. Through that channel, I know a lot of great people to try to mentor me to really improve my speaking skills. And I really appreciate that interaction with the people who would love to volunteer to help other people. And I really appreciate that kind of experience. So do you have any advice for incoming high school students?
So for incoming high school students, I just drafted a few general points and then I have a few specific points as well. I think for incoming high school students, the number one thing everyone should remember is to find some genuine interest, because I think this is really often not stated as much as it should be for freshmen. In the beginning, right, you come into high school, everybody is trying to do stuff for college. Everyone's trying to do the things that look good on your resume. And I really think that if you only do what others say that looks good, then you're not in control of your life. And I don't think you'll be ready for college or life after college. I think high school is the perfect time for exploring. And in order to explore, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to listen to your heart inside and figure out what are the things for you and what are the things other people do, right? Don't just do things that your friends do. Don't just do things that your parents want you to do. Do something that you really care about. Because at the end, if what you're doing is for college, it will be way easier to write about something you genuinely care about than something you thought would look good for college. The next point I have, aside from perfection becoming procrastination, I think gonna be a lot of great people you encounter in high school, especially since we live in Howard County. We're really lucky to be in one of the best places to get an education. When it comes, this is more also college oriented, but when it comes to applying to internships and things like that, don't listen to too much advice, right? Maybe your friends are gonna get that APL internship, or maybe your friends are going to work at this law firm and they get all these special things and you're feeling pressured. You're feeling pressured to find your own thing. But I think when this happens, it's really crucial to remember to listen to your genuine interest and to not feel rushed, right? In high school, no, everybody says that, high school is the jumping point up to college, but they keep forgetting that nobody really expects you to know what you want to do in high school, right? Even in your college applications, it's much better to stay genuine and to let people know you're still finding your way than to, maybe always get that John Hopkins internship and maybe, work at the APL. So, and aside from that, I think high school is going to be 4 years before you go off to college and live on your own, and it passes by a lot faster than you think. For me, it was just freshman year. I joined high school. Sophomore year, I don't even really remember what happened. Junior year, I studied a lot, had to get those good grades. And then senior year, half of it was cut off by Corona, and I missed a lot of stuff I really wish I did. So coming to you both as a senior and somebody who is living in the COVID-19 time, I really recommend don't take everything you do in high school for granted, because time really does fly by, and before you know it, you'll be out of your house.
That's true. So time flies always, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. So now you're choosing Georgetown, and your major is biology of global health. I think under the current situation, global health is really the critical topic for the whole world. How do we find a cure and slow down the pandemic and really come back to the normal life? Can you share something about your choice, why you choose Georgetown, why you choose your major?
Okay. So in the very beginning, I think for down my college choices, I knew I really wanted to live in the city, because when I thought of city, I thought of like that rich cultural life, that rich history, the heritage it has, and there are a lot more learning experiences in the city. And I also knew I wanted to stay near the East Coast, because me and my parents are really lucky. We got along quite well. So if anything happened to them during this COVID-19 time, I wanted to stay local. And so just in case I need to come home at any time. And I'm really glad I chose Georgetown now because of coronavirus. I know of people who, fly across the country, and I think it's pretty dangerous during this time. At the end of the day, though, I think I chose Georgetown, especially the college, because of its liberal arts core. So, like I said before, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in high school. I took all the APs, I took all the advanced courses. I started to learn a little bit about economics, biology, chemistry. And at the end of the day, none of them really stuck out as like a solid major I could dedicate myself 4 years to. And Georgetown has this fantastic liberal arts core where it forces you to learn about history, theology, philosophy, humanities, and you have to continue learning a language. So I think that core really helps you become better prepared for the real world, because it makes you a better person. Their motto is cure personalis, which means cure for the whole person. And I think care for the whole person. And I think that is an institution I want an education from, rather than an institution that promises I'll have 100% job employment after. Because I think college is less about matching you with the right job and more about preparing you for the real world, preparing you to analyze the new issues we have, like COVID-19, healthcare issues, coronavirus, and it's more about how you can become a better person a day. And I think that's way more important than figuring out maybe like getting a more practical degree and getting some hands-on experience first.
I see. So you have much ambition than just a job after graduation, right?
I mean, I hope at least at the end of the day, I do want a job after college, right? I don't want to go 4 years and come out unemployed, but I don't think that is the top priority. I think it's much more important, especially that I'm going to Georgetown, is much more important to, I guess, learn the importance of becoming a better person, right? They'll teach me how to move forward with my life, how to set goals, how to help people around. And I think that's getting that experience is more important than, starting off at a local internship so I can prepare for jobs.
Thanks for sharing that. I think one point you mentioned, nobody mentioned before, you want to stay close with your parents. I think the parents will feel so delighted to hear that.
Yeah. So yeah, not everyone gets along with their parents. Certainly me and my parents don't get along that often, but we don't have any negative hate, so it's nice to stay close.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Do you have any advice for HCPSS, where they can improve, where they can change, based on your personal experience?
Yep. So I think this is more of a general education system change for like not just HCPSS, but maybe Maryland and the whole country. But I really hope school systems start to promote more creative initiatives, and by that I mean like the project I told you about, where I got to pick the book, and then the book report was completely in my charge, right? I didn't have to follow necessarily a strict rubric. It was more on how I saw I wanted to complete the assignment. And I think giving students that creative initiative is really, really big. Not just preparing them for college, but preparing them for the real world. I think students, nothing wrong with this, but in school, we're often taught to, never brag, stay humble, all good virtues. We focus on more listening to the teacher, right? Answering questions, and less about our self-expression. Only until you get to the upper level classes where you start to have Socratic seminars and you start discussing with other students. But I think by that time, it's a little too late, because for many students, college writing is the first time they'll have to self-express, right? Talk about themselves and talk about their achievements without seeming like they're bragging. And if, they don't have experiences like Toastmasters or that research project where they learned individual initiative, they start to, they start to question themselves. Like they don't understand. They never ask the question like, who am I, or what is this all for? Like, what am I learning for? Am I learning for the grade, or am I learning to become a better person? Or am I learning for the sake of learning? So I think if schools were able to promote more creative initiative, allow students more control, especially in the early stages, about not just picking their classes, but in the class, right, what they want to learn, I think they'll be much better prepared for the real world, and they'll be able to get more responsibility, and they'll be able to, I guess, work on their own.
So it's you try to promote, we want more freedom for the students to choose their courses, right, and find their path, and they can question the authority as well.
Yeah.
I see.
So just like more individual initiative. So because oftentimes, we work in groups, we learn from the teacher, we learn in a big classroom environment, and we should remember that, you come to school, getting the grades is part of it, but it's not for the grades. It's learning is for yourself. You should feel like when you come to school, you're learning to become a better person, right? You're learning to become more educated so that you can contribute to society.
That's not easy in general, because
exactly. That's why I said it's not just like HCPS. It's a big thing that's like on the whole education system, like the whole country probably needs to work on. But it's just something I thought of.
I think that's a great advice. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's definitely a big topic for us to explore, to really try to elevate the whole school system. How do we really put the students, let them motivate themselves and to learn, to excel, and find their own passion for their own future? That's never be easy, I think, but that's the kind of direction we should strive for.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Ethan, thank you very much for your time. Do you have some closing remarks?
Yep. So thank you for having me once again. Last lesson, I guess, just one more thing to remind people is at least when I was coming in as a freshman, I had a lot of ambition. And looking back, I don't have nearly as much ambition as I did in the beginning. So I kind of just, another, I guess, freshman advice, I want to remind people to always keep your ambition high, right? My parents, they never brought down my ambition, but some days, you know, I felt like I wasn't as ambitious as I wanted to be, especially during college. You see all these great essays out there, you see all your friends around you so competitive, all their extracurriculars they have, and you lose sight of yourself sometimes. And that's when, you know, you really got to listen to your gut. And I think the good rule of thumb is always to aim higher than where you want to be. You know, it's pretty cliche advice, but I think it's true, right? As long as your ambition is always higher than where you want to be, I think you would be more willing to work for it. You'll put in the extra work to get where you want to be. And I think, especially during this time when everything's more competitive, I think it's a good rule of thumb to remember.
So it's kind of just put your ambition high and
Yeah.
aim high, and
Yeah,
then
don't let people tell you that, you know, it can't be done. I mean, my dad told me the other day, like his life is pretty set, but I'm still only 18, right? My whole life ahead of me. Whatever I want to be done, it can be done as long as I'm willing to put the work for it.
Thanks for sharing that. I really hope you good luck in your college and
Thank you.
a bright future for your career. And
yeah, thanks so much.
So for my audience, thanks for tuning back to Dr. Tao's YouTube channel. In this channel, I'm keeping interviewing our high school graduate. In this channel, I want to focus on student story, their voice, and their experience. I hope this will help you, both the parents and our incoming high school student, to navigate through your high school life. Thank you very much, Ethan.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Have a nice day, Dr. Wu. Bye-bye.